Hello everybody, I'm Jay.
And I'm Sean.
And today we're reviewing the movie The Lovebirds. New out on Netflix this weekend, starring Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae. It was supposed to go to theaters, but they sold it to Netflix instead, and I'm so glad they did, because this is the first really great home release of quarantine, I think.
agree. Yeah, the other ones that have come so far are really retreads or mediocre films that we wouldn't have been excited about. And definitely
Stuff that may not have done so well in the theaters. Anyways, this one I think would get some decent traction.
I think so too.
Because, I mean, we're always desperate for a good comedy, and good comedies are hard to pull off. And I think this has a good mix of, relationship-y and then fantastical, and really the two stars are what sells this movie.
They're really good, period, and they're also very good together in this.
Together, they're so charming. So, they do play a couple. When we first meet them, Leilani and Jaren have just spent a night together, and they are both hoping it is not to be a one-night stand, but they're doing the awkward jig where nobody wants to be the first to say it. And finally they admit it, that they would like this date to continue, and so they go on to breakfast and they, have a whole day together, really, of flirtation. That very exciting getting to know you period when this other person seems so wonderful and flawless and amazing. And you exchange vital information.
Yeah, like a last name.
Like a last name.
I didn't know about Jay's
that
last name for a very, very long time. I think until we moved in together.
Until we moved in together. And the landlady was like, what name should we put on the buzzer? And Sean had to say, I'll get back to you.
Yep. So
I remember when I asked you what your last name was.
I don't, and I wish I'd taken the opportunity.
It was outside the gelato place in the market.
Okay.
That's when why do I remember that? It only became a big thing later, because you did not reciprocate. You clearly did not need to know my name.
I don't know why that was.
But you are not that great of a conversationalist.
No, it's very true. I'm really
Yes,
not.
you're not good at the back,
No,
in the back and forth.
I just answer questions and don't really. So what about you? That just does not come
That's not your
naturally or even forcefully yet.
Yes. And then some days the landlady just puts you in an awkward position where you have
really
to admit.
Did, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
She has a last name as far as I'm aware.
True. So it is a very charming little get-together we see them. It is very short and extremely well done, because they are so, like you said, have such great chemistry. The writing is terrific, but the delivery is through the roof. You really feel like these are two people who are falling in love in front of our eyes. Cut to 4 years later, and they are bickering.
They're having a bit of a problem.
Yes. Now, as any, couple together any length of time, whether you know each other's last names or not, sometimes it's the small stuff that you focus on that can really trip you up. In their case, they're wondering, could they win in the Amazing Race? So if you and your partner were on the Amazing Race, would you do well? Would you do well?
I think we do well.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Why do you think that?
Because we're very good at traveling.
Yeah, at traveling,
That's
not
what that
at
is.
racing.
The race part is overrated.
I am not built for speed.
They're not running.
Well, that's not true. Sometimes
take
it's
cabs
neck
and
and
stuff.
neck. Yeah, they take flights and cabs, sure. But those are the things that make everyone equal. Sometimes there's only one flight out of a place. So everybody ran to the airport, but then they have to sit there for 4 hours waiting for the flight.
No, but we would solve the puzzle so fast that we would be ahead of everyone. It would never come down to a foot race with us. We would be light years ahead.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever seen the show?
Yeah, I've seen the show.
Because it does turn out, by the way, that Jaren has not seen the show and he still thinks they would lose. And
so I'm the opposite, though. I think we would win.
yeah, I think we would not win at all.
We do really well.
I think we'd be the first eliminated.
No way. We're gonna have to do it.
We do have a superhuman power. We have sort of done it. But you and I have a great superpower in that even though we like really love bickering in real life constantly, we don't do it when we travel.
No, that's true.
Like for some reason we both agreed not to be stressed. We're just gonna be fine with whatever. And that's why we have amazing trips. Not amazing races.
But we would have those too.
I don't know. Like, they have to do like actual challenges and they're not mind puzzles. They're like climb a flagpole.
Yeah, sometimes, but you can usually choose who does that.
Yeah, but you don't
like
know what the
trivia.
challenge is before you choose.
Yeah, we'd be all right.
Sean.
Jade, you are determined.
Yeah, I'll be determined to show you you're wrong. So, joke's on you, sir.
Oh.
Okay, so they are having a fight much
Just
like this one,
yeah.
except for it gets a little heated. And perhaps it's getting a little heated because they're also late to a dinner party, which is a constant thing with some couples. One blames the other. So they're in the car and things are just blowing up. There's all this pressure and, she is on her phone while they're discussing things and she hits like on an Instagram story from her friend that is just recently engaged. And that's a new thing. She thinks marriage is bullshit, right? We've agreed that we're not into that. We're just going to be together, but here you are liking it. What does this mean? And one thing leads to the next, and that leads to a breakup. So it's very sad, but we have very little time to dwell on it because pretty much as soon as they've agreed that this is not working anymore, they hit a guy. So some cyclist, and there is some debate in the movie whether a cyclist just deserves to be hit no matter what. A cyclist has somehow ended up in front of their car and they have hit him and he is bleeding on the pavement. Luckily, we don't have any anecdote to share here.
No.
We've rarely hit people. So anyways, like any normal person, they get out of the car, they're freaking out, they can't believe this happened, the guy is bleeding, they want to call 911.
You gotta just dial the first two and then hold on.
Yeah. Is this really an emergency? Let's assess. They want to call 911, but the guy just kind of springs up from the pavement, eager to be on his way, and bikes off, even though neither he nor his bicycle are in great shape. But before they can even digest this, a cop runs up behind them, gets in their car, like, I'm a cop, I'm going to confiscate. Confiscate is probably the wrong
Commandeer.
word. There you go. Thank you, hon. That's a good one. Your vehicle. They are in the vehicle with him, and now they're all involved in a chase. An amazing chase. Following this cyclist, Jaren is weirdly happy to play along. Yeah, he really has been wanting to role play Klopp for some time, I think. So anyways, when the cop finds the cyclist, things get even worse. And the cyclist does not get up this time. And then the cop disappears. So, was he a cop after all? Doesn't even matter.
He had a mustache.
In this, he did have a convincing mustache, that's right. So, note to you criminals. If you want to play the part, really, you gotta sell it. So they're left with a dead body, and some very nice passerby are concerned, and they're certainly going to call 911. And Leilani and Jaren
Run.
They run because they're realizing that they can't explain to this couple that, technically, yes, they did hit the guy in the beginning. Technically, yes, that is their car that has tread marks all over this guy's face. It looks bad.
It looks really bad.
It looks bad. Should they have run? Would you have run?
No.
No. Although, you know what? I did say to you earlier, you have to sort of take these two very smart people and just say, okay, but they're gonna make some bad choices. But also they are people of color. So they are possibly experiencing this and filtering this in a different way than we would.
Yes. I don't blame them for their decision, and I think in the context of the movie, you can go with it. It doesn't stick out as like, oh, no one ever would have done that. Yeah, people would do that all the time.
Sure. And I mean, you're all crazy, you're crazed from this thing that's just happened in front of you. You're not being rational, and people do flee the scene, and that is not okay. And yet, it happens.
Yes, but in real life, if you flee the scene and you realize that was a stupid thing to do, don't keep fleeing.
Yes. Stop fleeing. They don't do that. What they decide is that the only way to clear their name is to solve the murder. That's a big,
it's a big
they're
ask.
ambitious.
Yeah.
They don't think they can win on the Amazing Race, but they think they can solve a murder better than the cops can. So that is the premise. Now we're going to follow them on a night that starts from bad and gets worse. All of these comedies, you can name 1,000 of them, where just regular people get into a scrape and things snowball. They escalate, it gets wild, and it does get wild.
Yes, it does.
And I mean, some of the humor comes from, they're just also not criminals. They're not good at this. They think they can solve murders. They can't even break windows. They're not really made for this kind of life. So even though I find it as a kind of a tired trope, these two are so charming, and we're really invested in their relationship, which, remember, they've agreed to break up. So not only are they running for their lives, fleeing the cops, solving a murder, they're also doing it with the person they just broke up with. So emotions are running high.
Yes, they are.
Oh my gosh. So how much did you enjoy the film?
I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, a lot. Okay.
I did. I thought it was really good. I thought it was very funny. And it is, as you said, it's the first good movie that we've seen this quarantine of a new movie.
Right.
Of a new release.
That's right. And it is funny, even though I find the material is kind of recyclable, and you know where this movie is going the whole time. And yet, with these two, I just find them so exceedingly charming and so good at what they're doing. The jokes are landing, and I did think of Stuber, which is the last comedy, I think, that we saw Kumail Nanjiani in.
Yeah.
And he was playing opposite Dave Bautista, who is
not funny.
He's a brick wall. And so there were still parts that Kumail pulled
He
off.
still had some good ones.
He has no
him.
foil, he's just...
And in this one, he's got a partner.
Yes, and I mean, Issa Rae is wonderful, Kumail is wonderful. Together, they are even multiplied. They're wonderful listeners.
Yeah, they make the movie, as you said.
Yeah.
This is something that we have seen 1,000 times before, but this is a good take on it because the two of them are so good.
It was cast right. It really was. That excellently done. They are so wonderful to watch. We did laugh quite a lot.
Quite a lot.
And I think some of the enjoyment is wondering what you yourself would do in these situations. And if you've ever been caught saying some of this same spicy things, they exchange some heated words.
Yeah.
Some critiques.
Yes.
On-the-fly critiques.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when you do that?
Yeah.
It always comes back to haunt you. Yes.
It does.
Right. Husbands, write it down.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought it was really well executed. It's funny because they do end up at the dinner party they were supposed to go to. They end up at an Illuminati, eyes wide shut, bird mask orgy.
The whole nine.
So there's really, yes, they are running the whole gamut of activities on this one single evening. I'm going to say the worst night of their lives. I mean, I hope it is. I guess we'll wait for the sequel.
Yeah.
To see how bad things can get. But this was a very enjoyable evening for us.
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I mean, I think it's called Date Night, the Tina Fey, Steve Carell one. Where
Yes,
they are
that's right.
a married couple on a date that,
Also
again,
goes wrong.
get involved in some pretty terrible things. Also, a decently funny movie. So, this is a retread for sure. But I think it is
It's worth watching.
a worthy one, yes. And it's on Netflix, so you don't even have to pay
think
anything
about
extra.
it.
Yeah. But I think most people are going to be quite satisfied by this movie.
I think you can't really lose. It's a good way to spend some time.
Mm-hmm. It's a fairly broad comedy, and I think it's really just elevated by the stars.
Yep. I agree. It was a good one.
Okay, so we both like this
We both
movie.
like
the
this
same
movie.
amount.
We don't have to argue over it.
Darn.
We'll find something else.
Yeah, we'll revisit the Amazing Race one again. Guys. All right. Happy weekend, everyone. Happy watching too. Bye.